Hello everybody and welcome back to the RORSRPS Season 2 Qualifier. My name is Preston Vieira and this is it, the grand finale of our qualifying window. Tonight we'll have 3 brackets instead of our usual 2, and we'll be filling our final 3 spots on the All-Star Challenge Tour. Remember, this week's votes will only be between Team Thunder and Team Mayhem, and you can join in the team voting process for all of our qualifiers by heading over to the RORSRPS Instagram this weekend, Saturday, February 24th. That's at RORSRPS. Drop a follow and keep an eye on my story because every vote counts. We only have 1 final spot left on Team Mayhem and 4 on Team Thunder. So as we get closer to Saturday, really think hard about who our final Team Mayhem teammate will be. As usual, please consider subscribing if you enjoyed tonight's event and want to keep up with qualifiers or catch the soon-to-come Season 2 featuring 3 Tours of Chaos and a new larger total of 48 main field trucks. But here on YouTube, you're only getting half the RORSRPS experience, so don't forget to head over to Instagram this weekend so you can be a decision maker. And as I mentioned, we already filled up 2 of our 3 tours, and after tonight, there will be no spots left. This is our final show for the qualifying window. We are all done after this one. There's going to be a short break, but we will be back in March to kick off Season 2. Also, don't forget to check out Dubby.gg and check them out. There's Dubby has a lot of flavors for energy hydration powders, everything from mango peach in the beach and peach flavor to strawberry pineapple in their pineapple or their pine berry splash hydration blend and more. They have some awesome stickers and merch as well. So join the Dubby movement, get hydrated, get energized, and support the RORSRPS channel by taking 10% off Dubby's wide range of flavors using code RORSRPS. Now, we're almost done with our picks already for our first bracket of the night. We're going to get running here. Dr. Disrespect is a new truck that we have not seen on this channel. Same for Crazy 8 there at the end. Here's our full lineup. We're going to shuffle this up 3 times. And then that third shuffle is going to give us our official matchups for round 1. Let's take a look at our round 1 bracket here. Kicking off our first event of the night, Little Tiger is going to take on Monster Patrol. Monster Energy is going to take on Just Get Her Done. Jester will face off against 31 Flavors. Kawasaki is going to take on Sheriff. Crazy 8 is going to take on Blue Thunder. Recreation will face off against Dr. Disrespect. Monster Mud Husky is going to take on North Country Bandit. And to close out round 1, we got Game Over taking on El Toro Loco. Can we get an El Toro Loco qualified in tonight? I am hoping so, because last season he was our first truck qualified in. This season he might be our final one. I don't know. We haven't gotten one yet. I'm hoping we can get one. But Little Tiger versus Monster Patrol to get us started, launching off that starting line and up and over that step up for the first time tonight as we get close to our final event of this qualifying window. Perfectly done from Monster Patrol. Little Tiger taking a bit of a rollover approach to the Jackrabbit. Gets a nice clean landing on the downside of that gap. We'll see if Little Tiger can perform better tonight than he did last night. Ending up going out in round 1. Monster Patrol typically goes out in round 1, but looks like we got the V4 here this time around. Little Tiger getting in trouble here in the slalom, getting hiked up onto those right 2 wheels. And it's not looking good for Little Tiger here on the first floor. We'll see if he can come back at some point to reclaim the lead here from Monster Patrol. But Monster Patrol looking great around that starting elevation turn. Gets down through the ski hill nice and clean and up onto the bridge. Looks like Monster Patrol is gonna be a force to be reckoned with tonight. I mean, Little Tiger has made it up into the final round, but overall, from what we've seen as a whole of the Little Tiger experience on this in this qualifying window, he's not nothing crazy. So we'll see if Monster Patrol can get into round 2, and we'll see how he does once we're potentially there. Monster Patrol, nice landing on that elevated turn. We'll see if he can bring that back around for round 2. Little Tiger getting a great landing. Wow. I don't think we've seen that from Little Tiger, but he pulls it out here tonight, trying to make up the ground, but it's not going to happen. Monster Patrol around that final turn, and over the triple we go. Monster Patrol is our first competitor into round 2 tonight in our first bracket. Unfortunate break for Little Tiger, of course. As I mentioned, he was a finalist at one point. Does get across that finish line, though, which is good. At least he didn't DNF. But, yeah, for our first bracket of the night, he is done. Monster Energy. I believe this is the second time we're seeing any Monster Energies in this qualifying window. We did have a Monster Energy last season, but this time around, I don't know if it's going to happen. We'll see how he does here, taking on Get Her Done, just Get Her Done, I should say. Launching off that starting line and heading up and over that step up. It's neck and neck so far. Monster Energy Monster Energy has a nice little lead on Just Get Her Done. Neither one of them getting perfect downsides on the Jackrabbit. Both of them kind of taking that rollover approach. It is Just Get Her Done getting a nice clean landing on the downside of the first gap here on our first floor. Heading into the slalom, though, I don't know if Monster Energy is going to be able to stick it out. Looks like he wants to hike up onto two wheels, but he's just losing traction enough to keep that truck on all four BKTs. Just Get Her Done, throwing it down, but it's Monster Energy who gets into the double roller section first. And up onto starting elevation, Just Get Her Done struggling to get that truck down on all fours to put the power down and get to that ski hill first. It's Monster Energy still holding that lead right now. Of course, Monster Energy is one of our requests from the Instagram. The Cody Saucier Monster Energy, that pickup. And he's throwing it down here on this track. Looking good as we head onto the bottom floor. Big lead on Just Get Her Done. And looking for the gap now. Now, this could be a decision maker. Early on, he is going to play it safe and go long to low there. Just Get Her Done, trying to air it out. Getting a nice landing, decent. Gets a butt kicker, which kind of popped him up onto the nose for a second. But he sets it down and keeps it relatively controlled. But it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Monster Energy, the first one to that final turn. Big spin from Monster Energy, trying to keep that thing down on all fours. But it doesn't look like it's going to matter. Monster Energy holding that lead once again, even with that mistake. And it was a close one there down to the end. But Just Get Her Done, unable to get her done. Here in round one, Monster Energy narrowly avoiding disaster there right at the end of the run. And he's on to round two. We'll see Monster Energy again in just a minute. We'll see if he can tighten up some screws heading into the next round. But Jester's coming out next on your right, taking on Baskin-Robbins 31 Flavors truck. And we'll see who can come out on top here. This Chevy 31 Flavors on your left hasn't done too well on this track. We'll see if he can do well tonight. Jester has made it up into the semifinals, I believe. I'm unsure if he's been a finalist at any point, but he doesn't struggle too much on this track. He just is unable to get a win up against some up against the competition. Excuse me. Both trucks getting solid downsides on the gap on the first floor, spinning around that final turn and into the slalom. Who is going to come out into that double roller section first? 31 Flavors seems to be muscling right through this slalom section. A little bit of a slide there in that semifinal turn. But coming into the double rollers, it is 31 Flavors in the lead right now. Both trucks getting solid downsides on that double roller section. Nice drift around that starting elevation turn. Looks like Jester may have come back here. It is neck and neck as we get up onto the bridge. Both trucks getting through it relatively smooth. It's a tight race here as we get ready to go down to the bottom floor. Who's going to get a better transfer? Potentially a decision maker here. Looks like it's all Jester as we get down to this bottom floor. Can he hold on to this lead, or will 31 Flavors be able to come back? I don't know as we head into the gap here on the bottom floor. Jester going long to low. 31 Flavors going for it with a butt kicker, and we are right back neck and neck. Jester may still have a slight lead. Yes, coming out of that chicane first, looking for the final turn. Can Jester hold off 31 Flavors? Around it, beautifully done. Over the triple we go. Jester is on to round two. Jester could potentially be one of our final three qualifiers. We just got to watch and see what happens tonight. Jester is on to the next one. We'll see how he does in round two. Let's head back up to starting elevation to check out our next competitors and our next race of round one. Kawasaki coming out next on your right, taking on Sheriff. Of course, this is that RORSRPS World Finals 1 Sheriff. So he has an all-new, I mean, it's not new anymore, but newer scheme on that truck that debuted for the World Finals. Launching off of that starting line here. It is a pretty dead tie heading onto this first floor. Sheriff manages to pull off a tire tread of a lead over the Jackrabbit, but a slap wheelie from Kawasaki slows him down. Kawasaki already behind in this race. Sheriff looking to get into Season 2. We've had a couple different versions of Sheriff in this qualifying window, and he's come close to a win. Can he do it here tonight and come around for the main field of Season 2? A big slide from Sheriff and almost goes into the pit of disqualification, but keeps it safe. And that slows him down, though. Kawasaki with a very slight lead. I would say Sheriff got a better downside on that double roller section. Kawasaki trying to hold on to that lead, but Sheriff has a lot of experience on this channel, so it's paying off at this point. Kawasaki, not so much. We haven't used him on this channel at all, and I haven't used him much in my personal time. So we'll see if he can manage to get back in the lead. Anybody can win. Sheriff just has that experience that may pay off here on this track. Nicely done through the rollers on the bottom floor. Kawasaki kind of getting kicked around all over the place here. Really has to wait for that truck to settle down on that final roller before taking on the gap, and he doesn't get a great landing either. A hard hit on the front end for Kawasaki. It is all Sheriff heading into this final turn. Can he hold on to it, or will he go over and end his night early? No, a perfect turn for Sheriff. Over the triple we go, and to the finish line. Sheriff is on to round 2. Kawasaki unable to get it done here in round 1. There is a potential for him to come back at some point. Whether he can or not, we just got to watch and see what happens as far as our second and third bracket of the night. Another thing for our third bracket, it is all chosen by me personally. Just some trucks that I want to see in Season 2. So we're going to battle it out for our final qualifier, and that will be, essentially out of picks that I've chosen, but still non-biased racing. Same thing we've had this entire qualifying window. I just chose the trucks that are going to be participating. Crazy 8 coming out next on your right, taking on Blue Thunder. We're going green, and this is going to be an interesting race here because this Blue Thunder has been on this track before. Crazy 8 not, but Crazy 8 is also a namped truck, so he is going to struggle as they typically do. Blue Thunder already on the landing end of the gap here on the first floor, and Crazy 8 has to go long to low, which is typical for our namped trucks. When we spin our wheels for our picks, namped trucks get chosen, and they have a hard time competing with the V4s. They have a better shot at competing against the Werewolf trucks, but it is typically the Werewolves and the V4s that will take out a namped truck on this track. They just don't have the acceleration, the top end, or the control in the turns to grab many wins. Only a couple trucks have made it up past round 1 as far as namped trucks go, but Blue Thunder here looking good. A nice easy practice pass here for round 1 for Blue Thunder. We'll see if he can make it to the finish line. Sometimes you get a little ahead of yourself, you get a little cocky when you get a practice pass in, or you take a chance that you shouldn't necessarily take, and it bites you. So we'll see what happens here as we look for the gap. Blue Thunder is gonna go for it, get a nice early practice leap, see what he can do here on this track tonight. Gets a relatively solid landing. Crazy 8 going long to low, of course. Nicely done up on the starting, not starting elevation, up onto that elevated turn. Blue Thunder coming around the final turn already. It is all Blue Thunder here in round 1. On to round 2, and one step closer to a potential Season 2 spot. We'll see what happens as the night goes on. Blue Thunder, we had a Blue Thunder in Season 1. We don't have one in our main field yet. That's why Blue Thunder is still running tonight. But we'll see what happens for the rest of the night. Crazy 8 going freestyling a little bit with that little long to low through the triple after some donuts in that final turn. Crazy 8 unable to get it done, but to be expected. We saw that coming once we heard the namped truck, didn't we? So on to our next race of the night before taking on round 2, or getting closer to round 2, I should say. Recreation on your right, taking on Dr. Disrespect. This is the first time we're seeing Dr. Disrespect on this channel and on this track. We'll see how he does taking on Recreation, who has some experience here on this track. Has come close once to a Season 2 spot, getting a final round placement, just losing out to, I'm forgetting who at the moment, but it doesn't necessarily matter because he was a final round competitor and just took a loss in the finals. He's a solid racer, but Dr. Disrespect in the lead at this point. We'll see if he can hold on to that or if Recreation will come back. He puts down some solid runs, so I could definitely see Recreation coming back at some point. He does seem to be having a little bit of trouble here through the slalom. Dr. Disrespect, nice and smooth through the entire thing, but he would come out neck and neck over the double rollers. Nicely done up on the starting elevation, still neck and neck. This is a pretty close race between the two so far. Can they hold on to this? Recreation falling just a little bit more behind as we come out of that starting elevation turn. We'll see how he does here in the tunnel, if he can get a nice clean downside. Dr. Disrespect is going for it and pulls it off beautifully. Recreation coming up a little short and struggling in the tunnel. That is going to slow him down a lot. Dr. Disrespect just getting a bigger and bigger lead on Recreation right now, and with a pretty solid landing up into that elevated turn. It's looking good for Dr. Disrespect coming out of that chicane. Yeah, no, Recreation just having too many problems. Not a lot of problems, but too many for this race. Dr. Disrespect was ready to go on kill from the beginning. So we'll see if potentially we're going to be getting another custom into Season 2. Dr. Disrespect over that finish line and on to round 2 tonight. Recreation unable to get it done in round 1. Unfortunate break for Tomfoolery Motorsports. Once again, no trucks in the Season 2 main field. They had no Tomfoolery Motorsports trucks in Season 1 either as far as the main field goes. We did have Kraken and Jester both on the Custom Chaos sub lineup, but not in the main field. Monster Mud Husky coming out next on your right, taking on North Country Bandit. We're going green for, I believe this is the semifinal race of round 1. Could be wrong though. I've been wrong before. Monster Mud Husky up and over the Jackrabbit. North Country Bandit taking a little bit of a rollover approach, gives him a big bounce. Monster Mud Husky getting closer to a perfect landing there on the first floor gap than North Country Bandit did. And holding that lead as we head through the slalom. North Country Bandit looking like they're taking their time a little bit and trying to get up there with Monster Mud Husky, making up a little bit of ground. They seem to be struggling in that first straightaway, but through the slalom, they have a shot here. Monster Mud Husky getting in trouble, getting onto starting elevation, manages to get it done, but a rough starting elevation turn as well. Almost going out the same way the original North Country Bandit did with the namped version that we saw earlier in the qualifying window. Husky getting into trouble, but pulls it back down onto all 4 BKTs. This is a close race now as we head into the tunnel. Oh, Husky in trouble. Manages to get a save. Little clip on the wall, but I believe that was just the tail node. I don't think that was the chassis. North Country Bandit in trouble. Monster Mud Husky grabbing the lead once again. Can they hold on to it, or will it be North Country Bandit heading to that finish line and coming back in the final turn? I don't know. Monster Mud Husky looks like they're too far ahead, but anything can happen in this final turn. Wow. And what a final turn it was. Monster Mud Husky over that triple and looking for the finish line. And there it is. Monster Mud Husky on to round 2. North Country Bandit unable to get it done here in round 1. And maybe next bracket. That is our next bracket, is our final randomized bracket. So we'll see if they'll be able to come back. I don't know. Put in a solid effort here in round 1. Just too big of a mistake there. Getting down onto the bottom floor. El Toro Loco coming out next, taking on Game Over to close out our first round of the night. Game Over staged, El Toro Loco staged, both trucks ready to go, and we're going green. Launching off of that starting line, Game Over a slight lead as we head over the step up. El Toro Loco taking a rollover approach there and getting a beautiful save off the nose on the downside onto first floor. Game Over, nice, clean downside. El Toro Loco getting into a little bit of trouble with the rebounds, but keeping it relatively controlled. We'll see if this Werewolf NodeBeam El Toro Loco can come back here through the slalom with the grip that these Werewolf trucks have. Yeah, it looks like he's making up ground. I don't know if he's close enough to really do much at this point, but yeah, nicely done. A great downside as well for El Toro Loco. Game over, didn't even get that pure of a downside on the back end. El Toro Loco trying to fight to get back closer to that lead. Once again, he lost some ground on game over since the double rollers. And it's going to be all game over heading into the tunnel. Can he get a nice clean transfer? Not too bad. El Toro Loco trying to get it done. Manages to keep the truck safe, but that was a slow landing, I would say. It slowed him down a lot, which, you know, only gives a bigger lead to game over. Game over getting tripped up, trying to get onto that elevated turn. El Toro Loco going long to low, though, so it doesn't really matter. Game over heading into the final turn. Can he hold it around this final turn and make it across that finish line? Getting into a little bit of trouble and a rough final turn. El Toro Loco trying to come back here, but it doesn't matter. Game over. Managing to make a quick recovery and headed to the finish line. It's getting close down to the line, but it is all game over to close out round one. What a way to close out round one. That was a close one between El Toro and game over, and El Toro Loco goes down trying to get a little bit of a skills move there. Doesn't quite pay off the way he wanted it to. Let's take a look at our round two bracket here. Monster Patrol is going to be taking on Monster Energy. Jester will face off against Sheriff. Blue Thunder is going to take on Dr. Disrespect, and Monster Mutt Husky is going to take on Game Over to close out round two. Couple of good races here. Jester versus Sheriff could be a tight one. Same for Blue Thunder versus Dr. Disrespect. In the middle of the bracket, it's looking intense. So let's get to it as we should here. Let's jump right into round two. Monster Patrol on your right taking on Monster Energy. The battle of the monsters starting off our second round, and we're going green. Over the step up we go. Monster Patrol looks like he might be in the lead just slightly. Yes, he is, by about a tire length. Monster Energy grabs the lead heading into that gap here on the first floor. And Monster Patrol just trying to make up some ground at this point. It is a very slight lead for Monster Energy, but a lead nonetheless. We'll see who can come out of the slalom in first here as we find our third to last qualifier for season 2. Monster Energy coming up short on the double rollers. That's going to get him into trouble. Monster Patrol, the first one up onto starting elevation and the cleaner one up onto starting elevation, thanks to a better downside on those double rollers. Leads up onto the bridge as well. Monster Energy falling behind at this point. Can he come back? Oh! I think he can. Monster Patrol gets into trouble with the center divide coming off the bridge. They seem to have shut him down. They do let him refire, but he has a left front flat that is going to hurt this race more than it's already hurt after rolling over like that coming off the bridge. Monster Energy coming into that elevated turn with a hard hit on the nose. Keeps it on all 4 BKTs though. Big wide drift around that, or a big wide slide, I should say. Not necessarily a drift. It wasn't as controlled as he wanted it to be, I'm sure of that. But Monster Energy coming into this final turn, having some issues. Some more stuff he needs to tighten up here as we head into the semifinals. But on to the semifinals he goes. Monster Energy moving on. Monster Patrol, just too many problems this time around. And he wasn't even having many problems. It was just coming off the bridge a little crooked. Ran right into that center divide. I believe that Monster Patrol might have been our winner this time around had it not been for that mistake on the bridge or coming off of the bridge. And yeah, Monster Patrol done here in round 2. Jester coming out next, taking on Sheriff. This is going to be an interesting race for sure. I don't necessarily know how evenly matched these two are, but they're both solid racers. Jester, as I said, has made it up into the semifinals before. Sheriff has made it pretty close to the final round and into the final round. Of course, there are different versions involved in that, though. But he does have the entire Season 1 experience under his belt. Nicely done. with the Jackrabbit. Sheriff in the lead right now. Jester struggling already, having to go long to low in the gap here on this first floor. Sheriff getting in trouble in the first turn, though. Big slide. We are back just about neck and neck. Sheriff did manage to hold on to the lead there just slightly, but Sheriff in the lead. Jester trying to make up the ground, and in the slalom, Sheriff slides once again. Jester reclaims the lead. Beautiful downside in the double roller section. Sheriff overshooting it. That's gonna, oh no, a beautiful landing up onto that starting elevation. I was gonna say that might give him problems, but no. Jester up onto the bridge first, of course. Sheriff, couple of big struggles on this first floor. Can he tighten it up? Will he be able to come back on the bottom floor? Jester, the first one into the tunnel. Can he get a nice clean transfer again? Beautifully done. Sheriff as well, not bad. Onto the bottom floor we go. And yeah, it's not too close here. Jester has the definitive lead, but a big hit on the nose lets Sheriff come back. And around the elevated turn we go. Jester coming off of it a little too early. Sheriff having his own problems over there on your left. And it is all Sheriff heading into this final turn. Can he hold it? Jester in trouble in the turn with that turning car. Little obstacle there. And Jester goes down here in round two. Sheriff, wow, can't talk. Sheriff moving on to the semifinals tonight. What a way to come back. That was a close one. Wasted a lot of time, got into a lot of trouble, but was able to stick it out, to come back in the end. And here's another one that could be interesting on this track. Blue Thunder on your right, taking on Dr. Disrespect. Dr. Disrespect had a great pass in round one. He's looking to do it again against Blue Thunder, who only had essentially a practice pass, didn't really have a true opponent in the first round. Blue Thunder versus Dr. Disrespect, taking the first floor now, and it is Dr. Disrespect with a very slight lead, and after an overshoot on that Jackrabbit, he holds it heading into this first turn. Blue Thunder already a bit behind thanks to overshooting that Jackrabbit, trying to make up the ground. The slalom is where he can do it. This is where, I mean, you don't really need too much skill through the slalom here, but you do need to avoid the bridge column, which Blue Thunder doesn't. He also overshoots the double roller section. Blue Thunder is flustered here at a loss right now with Dr. Disrespect. It's not looking good for Blue Thunder. Dr. Disrespect nice and smooth through this track once again. This would be two rounds in a row. But he's going to take a big hit on the cab, directly to the face on the roof of the tunnel. Blue Thunder, once again, free and clear to move on through no fault of his own. He is struggling on this track here in round two. Needs to tighten it up big time in the semifinals if he wants to take a win. Another big hit on the nose through that elevated, or onto that elevated turn, I should say. But a relatively nice elevated turn. Heading into the final one, Blue Thunder all by himself on this track. Let's take a look at this final turn, see how he does here. Not too bad, nicely done. Up and over the triple we go, and to the finish line. Blue Thunder is on to the semifinals. Again, through no fault of his own. I mean, he managed to stick it out. Do you? Sometimes it works. That's a strategy that works on this track. But, you know, I'd like to see a true race from him at some point to where he earns an advancement into the next round. Monster Mutt Husky on your right, taking on Game Over on your left. This is going to be a very interesting race. A lot of interesting races to come tonight. And we're going to go green to finish out round two. Launching off of that starting line, it is close. Over the step up, it is Monster Mutt with a very slight lead. A tire tread here onto the first floor. Both trucks using a little bit of a rollover strategy to that Jackrabbit. Beautifully done from Monster Mutt Husky. Game Over, getting a little bit of a big rebound there off of the gap on the first floor. but not enough to really upset the truck. But speaking of upset trucks, big slide from Game Over heading into the slalom, but a big slide from Monster Mud Husky. What a way to recover it, though, just staying on the gas and holding on to that lead. Both trucks with beautiful downsides over that double roller section. Coming through the starting elevation section, looking for the ski hill. Husky nearly getting into some trouble there, getting a little crooked going down the ski hill. Again, getting into trouble on the bridge as well, kind of going nose first over the cars. And Husky hold this lead for the entire race. It is a close one. I would say Game Over is in that sweet spot right now, especially as we head into the bottom floor, but Game Over's in trouble. Husky getting a chance to extend that lead here as we head into that elevated turn. And yeah, Game Over into some more trouble. He's still not too far behind. If there is a spin out in this final turn or a rollover or something, Game Over may be able to stick it out. But if Husky gets a solid turn, which they do, and Game Over does not, Husky goes into the semifinals and grabs that final spot. Wow. Husky managing to stick it out to the end here. Game Over just going a little too hard. The pressure all on him at that point, trying to get into that next round, but doesn't happen for him this time around. Monster Mud Husky on to the next one. Let's take a look at our semifinal bracket here for our third to last show. Monster Energy is going to be taking on Sheriff to get us started, and Blue Thunder will take on Monster Mud Husky. Very, very interesting. I gotta say, Monster Energy versus Sheriff is definitely the race that I'm looking forward to. From what we've seen from Blue Thunder all night, I got a feeling Monster Mud Husky is gonna come out on top there, but we just gotta watch and see. Monster Energy taking on Sheriff to get our semifinals started. We're going green and looking for that step up. Nice leap from both trucks. Sheriff a very slight lead over the Jackrabbit, but it is Sheriff who also overshoots that Jackrabbit. Monster Energy getting a cleaner downside there on both the Jackrabbit and this first floor gap. Nicely done. Entering the slalom. Sheriff, can he tame those gremlins that he's been facing all night long in that slalom section? Looks like he does this time around. Monster Energy very fast through it. He was oh no, he was doing good in that first straightaway, but he still manages to hold off Sheriff with a solid pass through that slalom section and gets those double rollers first. And as we head onto the bridge, Monster Energy still holding that lead on Sheriff right now. But Sheriff goes nice and smooth over the cars and comes down to the first floor in the lead. Sheriff leading into the tunnel. But Monster Energy gets a better transfer. Monster Energy getting right there neck and neck with Sheriff. This race keeps trading the leader back and forth, and it can go either way as we head over the gap on the bottom floor. Who's going to get a better landing? Of course, it is Sheriff. Can he hold that very slight lead that he has right now until the end? Beautifully done out of the chicane. A big slide down that straightaway, though, which is going to give him a little bit of problems here. Give Monster Energy just a little bit closer to him. And, oh, it is close as we come over the triple and down this final straightaway. Who's going to take it? Oh, my goodness. With the closest race we've seen this qualifying window, that was Monster Energy by an inch or two here in this in the Spin Master Showdown track. Monster Energy moves on to the finals tonight with an insane comeback at the end by inches, but a lead is a lead. Blue Thunder coming out next on your right, taking on Monster Mud Husky. Now this is a competitor for Blue Thunder. Can Monster Mud Husky stick it out and come out on top to knock out Blue Thunder, who's been struggling all night? We're going green, and over the step up we go to get this race started. Blue Thunder with a very slight lead. Does better on the Jackrabbit this time around. It is essentially neck and neck here, but Blue Thunder has a literal lead, a couple, just a little bit, but they are too close to count out Monster Mud Husky at this point in the race, especially heading into the slalom here. Big slide from Husky, but We've seen Monster Mud Husky do well in the slalom tonight. Can they make up a little bit of ground? Looks like they lost a little. And overshooting that double roller section, that's going to cause problems. Blue Thunder holding that lead, expanding that lead as Monster Mud Husky gets a big slide in the starting elevation turn. Pressure all on Husky right now. Best thing they could do is try to clear their head and, you know, race. Just do what needs to be done at this point. Don't try to account for anything ahead. Don't try to overdrive yourself, because at this point, you're getting closer to Blue Thunder, but if you overdrive, you're going to lose it. Blue Thunder looking for the gap already. How is this landing going to go? And how is it going to go for Husky? Oh, no. Husky overshoots the landing just a little bit thanks to a butt kicker landing on that elevated turn. And, yeah, no. Blue Thunder all by himself here heading into this final turn. And a solid final turn it is. Blue Thunder tightens up some screws here in the semifinals, and on to the finals he goes. That means it is Monster Energy versus Blue Thunder in the final round. Both of these names were in Season 1. So either way, we're going to get, you know, sort of a returning competitor, not an exact returning competitor, not the exact versions of those trucks that we saw last season, but we would get Monster Energy once again, or we would get Blue Thunder once again. We just got to see what happens as we head into the finals, and this could be an interesting one for sure, I want to say. It's going to be interesting. I'll tell you that much. I'm not sure in what way it would be interesting, but it's going to be interesting. And our final round is here. Both trucks staged and ready to go. Monster Energy on your right, Blue Thunder on your left, and we're going green. Over that step up we go. Who is going to come out on top tonight in our first bracket? Monster Energy, a very slight lead right now. Both trucks getting solid downsides on the Jackrabbit. And on the gap here on the first floor, it is close heading into this first turn. Truly neck and neck. Blue Thunder getting a big slide in our first turn of the slalom. Monster Energy not getting tucked in to our final or our semi-final turn of the slalom. Blue Thunder leads into the double roller section, clipping the double roller on the downside, not getting a great landing. Monster Energy looks like he got a solid one. Can Monster Energy come back is the question though. Blue Thunder a solid lead in his own lane here tonight at the Spin Master Showdown qualifier. Monster Energy, can he get a nice clean downside into the tunnel? Blue Thunder can. Monster Energy nearly does it, but struggles in that tunnel. It looks like it's all Blue Thunder as we head onto the bottom floor. Monster Energy is in trouble. Going for a wild ride, and that means that he is going to be shut off, even if he was able to land on all 4 BKTs. So that would have, even if he was able to get back on all 4s, Blue Thunder would be too far in the lead to really do anything about it. Let's see this final turn. Gets around it. Beautifully done. Blue Thunder is over the triple and heading to the finish line. Blue Thunder is your next All-Star Challenge competitor in Season 2. Nice slap wheelie over the line. Trying to get that truck settled down before the end of the track here, the barrier, the dumpster and those cars. On the little, I guess, racing property line there. Coming back to starting elevation. If you want to vote for what team Blue Thunder gets placed on, Team Thunder versus Team Mayhem, I mean, I know what team I would put Blue Thunder on. Head over to the RORSRPS Instagram. It's not about what I would do. It's about what you want to do. We only have 1 spot left on Team Mayhem and 5 trucks left to qualify as far as or left to place on the All-Star Challenge Tour, I should say. Let's say that. Blue Thunder is just our next one in the bunch. We got 2 more coming for the rest of the night. Let's check out Blue Thunder with his glamour shot here. One last look at him before we see him in Season 2, because we'll be seeing him all season long on the All-Star Challenge Tour. Head over to the RORSRPS Instagram and place your votes this Saturday for what team he gets placed on. Let's find our picks for our second bracket of the night. King Crunch is coming back. We've seen him get up into the final round before. We'll see if he can do that again tonight. Blockhead is coming back as well. We'll see if he can keep it on the bridge, because that's an issue that hit him once before. El Toro Loco, another Werewolf version of that truck. Just Get Her Done is back, but this time it's that late 2000s Werewolf NodeBeam version, a breakable truck. Del Scorcho is coming, and not the breakable version this time. We got the regular V4 Del Scorcho. We'll see how he does. And our World Finals 22 racing champion Earthshaker is here. We'll see if he can get into Season 2. King Sling is back. We haven't seen him in a while. Bob and Tom we already got in Season 2, so we are going to skip him. Untapped Rage, a custom truck. We'll see how he does on this Spin Master Showdown track. Killing Machine Motorsports Pack, I believe that's Deadly Monster coming through for our second bracket of the night. Gravedigger 8, Werewolf NodeBeam. We already have Gravedigger. We already have Son of a Digger in Season 2. Twisted Addiction we don't have, so we are going to keep that one. Hypershock, a custom. Another custom from the Sim Monsters website. Time Flies. We got 2 Time Flies in this bracket. One of them the Chaotic Tour custom. Or not custom, the Chaotic Tour version. And one of them the 2016 version. So we'll see if either one of those can come out on top. Let's take a look at our round 1 bracket here. El Toro Loco is going to take on that Chaotic Time Flies. King Sling is going to take on Hypershock. ScoobyDoo will face off against Deadly Monster. Earthshaker will take on Twisted Addiction. Del Scorcho is going to face off against Slingshot. Superman versus King Crunch will continue our bracket here. Time Flies, that 2016 version, is going to take on Blockhead. And closing out round 1, we got Just Get Her Done taking on Untapped Rage. Very interesting bracket here. A lot of trucks that I would like to see in Season 2. But we just got to see who does it and watch and see how the bracket goes the rest of the night. Time Flies on your left, taking on El Toro Loco on your right. Both of these trucks, the yellow version. So it's yellow versus yellow here in round 1. Kicking us off over that step up we go. El Toro Loco with a huge leap over that step up. Looking for the gap here on the first floor. Time Flies, looks like he's in trouble, but a beautiful landing. El Toro Loco gets an awkward landing there. Time Flies, trying to keep that truck on all fours, has to go for a spin. This is a rough first race so far. Both of these trucks having their own struggles here in our first race of round 1. Through the slalom, it is Time Flies a whole turn behind El Toro Loco right now. El Toro getting kind of a decent downside on the double roller section. Time Flies with a big sky wheelie. We saw him go out that exact same way once before. Manages to keep that truck, or get that truck down on all fours and keep it running here tonight. But that is definitely a dangerous move for Time Flies. We'll see if he can come back at some point. El Toro Loco just holding this lead on Time Flies right now, and with a beautiful landing on the downside and losing a horn. El Toro Loco getting through the tunnel beautifully. Doesn't look like it's gonna happen for Time Flies this time around as we head into the gap here on the bottom floor. El Toro Loco, of course, going long to low. Same for Time Flies, though, and that means it is all El Toro Loco. He is free and clear to go into round 2 as long as he can get across this final turn, or get through this final turn, I should say. A little bit of struggle. Look at that. El Toro Loco struggling. He's going to struggle here on the triple. He's going to go long to low. Kind of clips the bus. He's in trouble. Time Flies might be able to come back. Can he do it? No. Too rickety on the landing. El Toro Loco manages to recover and move on to round 2. What a way to recover. He almost lost it there, man. El Toro Loco on to the next one. We might be getting an El Toro Loco. Nice. I mean, in a Werewolf NodeBeam, that would be 2 Werewolf El Toro Locos in a row. Of course, last season, it was a Team Scream El Toro Loco. But anyways, King Sling on your right, taking on Hypershock to get, or to continue running with our first round. Off that starting line we go, and on to the first floor. Pretty evenly matched so far. A little slap wheelie from Hypershock. It is King Sling who manages to grab a little lead over that Jackrabbit, but Hypershock comes back as we head into our first turn. Around it we go. Both trucks getting it done. King Sling trying to navigate this slalom with some strategy here. Trying to hold on to what he has as far as distance between him and Hypershock. Doesn't want to lose much ground. Wants to stay in the competition here. Hypershock getting tripped up onto starting elevation. King Sling gets it done solid. So he does have a lead as we head up into the bridge section. Can he handle these cars is the question. Kind of gets tripped up on the landing on the bridge as well. Hypershock right back neck and neck with King Sling. Who's going to get a better transfer into the tunnel is the question. Big bounce from King Sling. Hypershock nice and cushy. So he is onto the bottom floor first, and with a tap on the wall, King Sling is a little all over the place. Manages to keep it on all 4 BKTs, which is good. But as far as this race goes, Hypershock gets into a little bit of trouble, but gets it back down on all 4s. So he is still holding that lead on King Sling. Hypershock looks like he's going to be on to round 2 tonight. Heading around this final turn, beautifully done. Hypershock, yes, on to the next round. We'll be seeing him again in a little bit. King Sling unable to get out of round 1. Once again, I believe this is the second time King Sling's been here, and both times, unfortunately, he has been unable to get out of round 1. But Hypershock gets it done in his first appearance on this track and on this channel. Nicely done. Deadly Monster coming out next, taking on ScoobyDoo, and what a matchup here. Can Scooby take down the monster like those Mystery Machine kids do? Or will it be Deadly Monster who comes out on top this time? We're going green here in round 1. Over the step up, it is Deadly Monster with the lead over the line, but ScoobyDoo has a little bit of experience on Deadly Monster. Not here in this track, to be honest, because Deadly Monster has been here more times than this version of ScoobyDoo has. But as far as the RORSRPS channel, ScoobyDoo was a substitute last season and managed to do pretty well, unable to get into the World Finals, but threw down a solid performance in racing and in freestyle in Glendale. So we'll see if Scooby can make it into the main field for Season 2, potentially to earn a spot in the World Finals this time around. Through the starting elevation turn, it is all ScoobyDoo right now. Can Deadly Monster come back is the question. Deadly Monster getting into some trouble there on the bridge. Only slowing him down more. ScoobyDoo already looking for a transfer into the tunnel. Solid. Great transfer. Deadly Monster coming up short in the transfer into the tunnel. Not helping him one bit, really. Getting tripped up onto the nose. Manages to get a save, but that was a close one for sure. ScoobyDoo solid landing in that elevated turn. Deadly Monster, a big hit on the nose. Takes all momentum away. He's going to have to get back on track here. And it is all ScoobyDoo heading into this final turn. Around we go, and ScoobyDoo looking for the triple and that finish line. She is on to round 2 tonight. Deadly Monster knocked out by ScoobyDoo and Mystery Incorporated. Deadly Monster out here in round 1. We'll see ScoobyDoo again in just a little bit. But yeah, nice stoppie from Deadly Monster. That's not going to bring you back for round 2, but solid. That was cool. ScoobyDoo on to the next one. Earthshaker coming out next on your right, taking on Twisted Addiction. Now, if you're a Monster Jam fan, you already know, but Earthshaker was the World Finals 22 World Racing Champion in real life. So we'll see if he can bring that into this event tonight and get qualified into Season 2. Going green off of that starting line, and over the step up we go. Twisted Addiction taking kind of a rollover approach to the step up and getting a beautiful downside. Both trucks solid downsides. Earthshaker's gonna get in trouble here though with a crooked landing. Manages to settle it down and keep it off the dumpsters. You love to see it. The skill of a racing champion. And coming around, or coming through the slalom here on the first floor, it is Twisted Addiction, still holding a little bit of a lead, but Earthshaker doing well at making up some ground here. Coming into the double rollers, it is Earthshaker who grabs the lead, and a beautiful downside from both trucks puts them both onto starting elevation with a tight race here. Twisted Addiction falling behind just a little bit more, but we still got half a race ahead of us, so he could come back at any point, especially with Earthshaker getting in trouble like that over the cars. Twisted Addiction grabs the lead as we head into the tunnel. Ooh, a little bit of a big bounce there from Twisted Addiction and clipping the wall. Earthshaker reclaims the lead, heading onto the bottom floor, but Earthshaker nearly gets in trouble there. This is an interesting race here between the two of them. Onto elevated turn, and it is Twisted Addiction who pops that right front. That is gonna hurt this pass even more. Earthshaker essentially free and clear here to move on to round 2 tonight. Around that final turn we go, and it is all Earthshaker over the triple and looking for the finish line. Earthshaker one step closer to a main field spot in Season 2. Can he get it done tonight? Twisted Addiction goes down after a rough final turn, and he is done anyways. We will not be seeing him in round 2, thanks to Earthshaker putting down a solid run. Del Taco coming out next, taking on Slingshot. Now this is V4 versus Werewolf NodeBeam. Slingshot, the Werewolf NodeBeam truck, that breakable. So we'll see if the Werewolves can come out on top. Usually we've seen Del Taco as a Werewolf as well, but tonight the V4 got picked, so that's what we're using. Both trucks taking a rollover approach to that step up. We'll see how they handle the Jackrabbit. Del Taco falls behind a little bit, getting a little squirrely off of that downside into the first floor. Slingshot getting in trouble in the first turn. Del Taco nice and clean. Del Taco off to an early lead here in the first floor. Looking through the slalom though, can Slingshot come back, since this is where those Werewolf trucks excel? Looks like he does. Slingshot leads over the double roller section. Nice downside as well for both trucks. Slingshot does come up short, getting onto starting elevation though. Del Taco reclaims that lead as we head down to the bridge section. Can Del Taco hold it? Over the cars we go. Del Taco's in trouble and into the center divide. Slingshot reclaims the lead. Hard hit on the front though. He might have dislocated that. No, could have dislocated that front drive shaft though. You really need to be careful coming off that coming off the bridge. That landing can really knock you out of the race if you're not careful. You can snap a tie rod, break a drive shaft, whatever. Same here. Needs to go long to low in the gap, but he is still holding that lead on Del Taco's Del Scorcho. Del Scorcho unable to get a perfect landing. That means that Slingshot is just 1 inch closer to a win here. Can he hold it through this final turn? He does. Solid final turn. A little loose on the rear end, or on the exit. Comes up a little short on the landing for the triple there, but nicely done. Slingshot gets it done here in round 1. Del Taco's Del Scorcho unable to come back by the time the finish line got to him, or by the time he got to the finish line. Slingshot had already been across it, and Slingshot's on to round 2 tonight for the first time. I don't believe he's been in round 2 yet. Nicely done. Superman coming out next on your right, and he'll be taking on King Crunch. This is almost a solid race as far as time period pieces. King Crunch from 2012, Superman from 2013. So it's pretty close here for this race. Superman heading up and over that step up with King Crunch not far behind. Who gets to the Jackrabbit first? It is King Crunch. Superman, a solid racer on this track. He's been in the final round before. He wants to get there again. Same for King Crunch, though. Both of these trucks have been in the finals before. This could be an incredible race here, and so far it is, as we're neck and neck heading into the slalom. Superman with a bit of a big slide there. King Crunch a big slide there. It's pretty evenly matched, but King Crunch comes out of the slalom in first, overshoots that double roller section. Superman gets a relatively nice downside. Oh, King Crunch narrowly avoiding that dumpster in the starting elevation turn. Superman trying to get back up into the lead. Can he do it? I don't know. Not with King Crunch as his opponent. This version, at least, who has been in that final round. Oh, King Crunch In trouble, hard hit on the cab. King Crunch is done. Superman gets lucky heading into the tunnel and coming onto the bottom floor in first. Superman is on to the next round if he can just get across that finish line. Look at the leap from Superman. Beautifully done, a great landing in that elevated turn. Way to get that truck settled down and chucked into that turn just how he needs it to get around it clean. And around this final turn, Superman getting it done. He wants that final round spot once again. Can he get it done tonight? Can he get into Season 2? Beautiful leap over the finish line as well. Superman is on to the next round. We'll see him again in just a little bit. But for now, let's head back up to starting elevation and check out our next race of round 1. Time Flies versus Blockhead. Very interesting. We haven't seen this version of Time Flies on this track yet. Blockhead we have seen a few times before. I believe he's gotten up into the semifinals once. We'll see if he can do it again tonight. Both trucks kind of airing it out over that step up. Blockhead kind of touching those back wheels down on it a little bit. Time Flies in trouble in the first gap. Blockhead grabs an early lead, and that's the way that a lot of trucks grab their wins, is an early lead in the race, and their opponent is just unable to make up the ground. Time Flies trying to do so. Can he do it? He's a whole turn behind Blockhead at this point. Can he make up the ground? Blockhead with a beautiful downside on the double rollers. Time Flies trying to get it done. Doesn't quite get it. Kind of overshoots it. It is all Blockhead up onto the bridge. Time Flies really needs to get on the power. He's kind of rolling into that ski hill section, which, I mean, you kind of have to do. You can't really hit it with too much speed or you're going to go flying. And that's going to affect your landing up onto the bridge as well. But Time Flies really needs to put the power down here on the bottom floor. Blockhead still just holding that lead. Looking for the gap on the bottom floor. Can he get a nice clean landing? Pretty solid. Not too bad. Time Flies getting a little bit of a harder hit. Stopping a lot more momentum, I would say, than Blockhead did. And yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. It was a solid effort, but Time Flies seems to be too far behind. Around the final turn we go. Blockhead is on to round 2 tonight. One step closer to Season 2 glory. Can he get into that Season 2 main field tonight? He's had quite a few chances on this track. I believe this is 5. So we'll see if he does it tonight, and if tonight's his lucky night. Time Flies, a little bit of a stoppy there, getting it done, setting it down. On to the next one tonight for Blockhead. Closing out our first round, we got Untapped Rage on your left, taking on Just Get Her Done. Now, this is the first time we've seen Untapped Rage here. We don't know how he's going to handle this track, but let's watch and see what happens as we go green for our final race of round 1. Just Get Her Done. Nicely done over that step up and over the jackrabbit as well. Solid downsides from both trucks. It is Untapped Rage with a nice clean lead at this point heading into this first turn. Can he hold it for the entire race? This is V4 versus Werewolf NodeBeam, so we are leaning towards V4, of course. But anything can happen, man. Anything can happen on this track. Just Get Her Done. Trying to make up some ground. He's not too far behind Untapped Rage. I don't necessarily think he's in that sweet spot just because it's V4 versus Werewolf, so we got to watch and see what happens. But Untapped Rage looking clean on this track so far. Just Get Her Done, just sticking with him, running his own race, not worrying about Untapped Rage. He's just getting it done. As the name would suggest, Untapped Rage is in trouble in the tunnel, and down he goes. Just Get Her Done. The do you strategy strikes again and gets him set up into round 2. He's going to go long to low here and, go pretty cautious with the rest of this race. Look at the sky wheelie from Just Get Her Done up onto that elevated turn. A little bit of an early celebration there. Got to be careful with an early celebration. You never know what could happen in that final turn. We might have to rerun the race. Heading into it, just get her done. Solid final turn. Little loose on the exit, but I mean, you know, nobody's perfect. Nice downside on the triple. Headed to the finish line. Just get her done. Closes out round 1 with a little bit of an upset there, I would say. I would think a lot of people would have their money on Untapped Rage just due to, you know, the fact that it's V4 versus Werewolf NodeBeam. But on to round 2 we go with Just Get Her Done. We're going to kick things off, though, with El Toro Loco taking on Hypershock. ScoobyDoo is going to face off against Earthshaker. That sounds like another ScoobyDoo villain name. Slingshot is going to take on Superman. And Blockhead will take on Just Get Her Done at the bottom of round 2. Very, very nice. Some great racing in round 1. We'll see if that'll carry over into round 2, especially with this one here. El Toro Loco on your right, taking on Hypershock on your left. Now, both of these trucks did relatively well in round 1. El Toro Loco had some problems, but he is a werewolf truck. But we just saw a werewolf truck knock out a V4 with this exact same node that Hypershock has. So can El Toro Loco do it here in round 2? We just got to watch and see El Toro Loco taking a rollover approach to that Jackrabbit. Both trucks coming up short on that first gap, though. Interesting. Heading into the slalom. Safe to say that El Toro Loco might be able to grab a little bit of a lead, but he gets into some trouble. Kind of getting hiked up in the first turn of the slalom. He might be falling behind here. No, El Toro Loco manages to grab a lead heading out of the slalom, but up onto starting elevation. Hypershock is right there with them, and with the acceleration and the top end that these V4s have comparatively to El Toro Loco, or to the werewolves, we just gotta see what happens, because Hypershock is right there with El Toro Loco. And we lose another horn heading into the tunnel. El Toro Loco going for it. Solid landing once again. Hypershock kind of sloppy compared to El Toro Loco, but onto the bottom floor, it is neck and neck. Looking for the gap. Hypershock is going to shoot it. El Toro Loco going to go long to low, of course. Werewolf trucks need to do that. You don't want to snap a drive shaft or a tie rod. And coming around that turn, it's all Hypershock heading into the final one. Can he get a nice, clean, solid final turn? Absolutely he can. What a great turn from Hypershock. El Toro Loco too far behind to get it done here in round 2. Over that finish line we go, and it is all Hypershock heading into our first spot in the semifinals. Look at the celebration stoppie from Hypershock. Nicely done. And on to the next one. We'll see him again in just a little bit. Let's head back up to starting elevation. Check out our next race of round 2. ScoobyDoo on your right, going to be taking on Earthshaker. The World Finals 22 racing champion on your left, taking on ScoobyDoo, the World Finals 19 or World Finals 20 freestyle champion. I lose track of them past like 15. So over that Jackrabbit we go. ScoobyDoo cleaner, and Earthshaker getting a little bit of a slap wheelie there in that straightaway, which slows him down because he has to set it down. And yeah, he just falls behind early in this race. ScoobyDoo in the lead through the slalom, but a big slide from Scooby. This could be Earthshaker's shot to catch up. Not making up too much ground, but he's not far behind at this point. I'd say he's in the sweet spot. ScoobyDoo still in the lead up onto starting elevation, trying to fight off Earthshaker right now. Can he outrun him this entire race? Or can she outrun him the entire race? Ooh, nice save from Earthshaker, nearly getting into a little too much trouble there on the bridge. ScoobyDoo looking for a transfer. Nicely done, a little bouncy. Same for Earthshaker, though. Can Earthshaker come back on this bottom floor and get one step closer to a Season 2 qualification, or will it be the Season 1 substitute? ScoobyDoo, big butt kicker there, manages to save it. Earthshaker gets a great save, but that hurts his run bad. ScoobyDoo looks like she's all by herself coming into this final turn. Can she hold on to it? Wow, what a final turn from ScoobyDoo. A big slide on the exit, fighting for grip there, but manages to hold that lead because Earthshaker is too far behind. And Earthshaker unable to get it done here in round 2. Once again, unable to get a Season 2 qualification. ScoobyDoo is on to our semifinals tonight, grabbing that 2nd out of 4 spots. Slingshot is next, taking on Superman here in round 2. Who will come out on top? We just saw a couple of werewolves knock out V4s in round 1. Can they do it again here with Superman versus Slingshot? We're going green and heading up and over that step up. Superman hasn't had many struggles on this track as a whole. Slingshot, though, has had quite a few missteps. Let's call him that. Yeah, there's another one right there. Slingshot getting into trouble heading into that first turn. Sends them out wide. Superman off to an early lead here as we head into the slalom, but this is where Slingshot might be able to make up some ground. Can he do it? Seems like he's oversteering a little bit, getting himself into trouble and slowing himself down. Superman a big slide on the exit. Slingshot does seem to come up just a little bit, make up a little bit of ground there. And up onto starting elevation. Superman just holding that lead on him. Up onto the bridge we go. Slingshot with a big sky wheelie. Sets him up pretty nicely for the cars. He does get kicked a little sideways, but manages to keep it safe. How's he going to handle this transfer into the tunnel? Superman looks like he's going to get a perfect one. A little rickety on the landing, though. Slingshot not too bad. As we head onto the bottom floor, Slingshot is the smoother one through the rollers and the dip. But Slingshot has to go long to low in that bottom floor gap. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. Turns or not, Superman coming out of the chicane in the lead, looking for the final turn. Can he hold it? Absolutely he can. A great final turn from Superman. Slingshot washing out net with that rear end once again. Unable to get it done. Superman on to the semifinals, grabbing our 3rd spot. Nicely done. A great pass from Superman once again. Determined to get up into that final round. Can Superman get his Season 2 qualification this time is the question on my mind, because he was so close last time, but just managed to take a loss. Can he do it tonight? Blockhead coming out next on your right, taking on Just Get Her Done. Another werewolf truck taking on another V4. We're going green and heading over that step up. Just Get Her Done walking those back tires down that ramp. Blockhead doing similar, I would say, not the exact same. Nicely done over that gap here on the first floor. Blockhead in the lead right now. Just Get Her Done needs to get her done if he wants to move on to the semifinals tonight. Can he hold a lead coming out of this slalom is the question. Absolutely. Nicely done. No! Blockhead comes back. Just Get Her Done fighting to reclaim and hold the lead. Blockhead with the acceleration out of the slalom section manages to reclaim the lead here as we head onto the bridge. He's looking good. Nicely done, keeping it off that center divide for both trucks. Just Get Her Done making up a little bit of ground. We're heading into the tunnel. Who is going to get a better transfer? Just Get Her Done. Nice and clean. Blockhead pretty clean as well, but kind of got kicked up onto 2 wheels for a second, which took a little bit of extra effort and time to recover from. Just Get Her Done gonna go long to low there. Blockhead coming back around this elevated turn. Who is gonna get it by the end? It is Just Get Her Done right now, but Blockhead could come back at any point with his V4 node. But it's not gonna happen. Just Get Her Done over the triple he goes. He is too far in the lead. We got a werewolf in the semifinals. Just Get Her Done is on to the next one. Blockhead unable to make it stick this time around. What a race, trading that lead back and forth, and Just Get Her Done earned it. Nicely done. Let's take a look at our semifinal bracket here. And very interesting. Hypershock taking on ScoobyDoo, and Superman facing off against Just Get Her Done. Maybe I'm looking too much into it, but Hypershock also sounds like a Scooby-Doo villain. So I'm going to say Scooby's going to knock out Hypershock here in the semifinals, just because Scooby's been knocking out all those Scooby villains this entire bracket so far. Superman versus Just Get Her Done is going to be an interesting one. Superman is fast, so I don't know. Just Get Her Done's been killing it, but I don't want to count him out. But Superman, he's fast, man. Coming down to the first floor, it's all ScoobyDoo right now. It was very close, though. But ScoobyDoo does have a slight lead as we head up and through this gap. Hypershock getting an awkward bounce off the top of that downside ramp. That puts him at a disadvantage heading into this slalom section. Can ScoobyDoo hold this lead for the entire race? Scooby's been solid all night, but so has Hypershock. Coming out of it, it is Hypershock who manages to get right back neck and neck with ScoobyDoo. Both trucks getting solid downsides. This is quite a race so far, and with over half of it to go, it could only get better. Scooby grabs that lead as we head onto the bridge. Scooby nearly falling off the edge there, managing to straighten that truck out, but that gives Hypershock that edge to come back and get neck and neck right there with Scooby. Who is going to come out of the tunnel first? It is ScoobyDoo, who's looking incredible on this track tonight. Scooby goes down. Not too bad of a roll. She is still running, but Hypershock manages to reclaim the lead here as we head up onto that elevated turn, and Hypershock is going to hold it until the final turn. Hypershock just sticking with it. And ScoobyDoo making the mistake. Hypershock is on to the finals tonight. We got another custom in our final round. Can we get another custom into season 2 is the question tonight. Getting it done. Hypershock. Nicely done. Let's head back up to starting elevation to get prepped for our final race of the semifinals. Here in our second bracket, Superman coming out on your right, taking on Just Get Her Done. Just Get Her Done is on fire tonight, but I don't know if he has what it takes to compete against Superman. Every race is a new race, though, so let's see what happens as we go green and onto our first floor. Similar approaches to the step up. Superman a little crooked on the jackrabbit. Is that going to affect this run? No, Superman in the lead right now as we head into our first turn. Ooh, a big slide from Superman. Just Get Her Done coming into the slalom first. That means trouble for Superman, at least here on this first floor. Superman needs to hold it together. He's been struggling through this slalom all night. Aside from that, he's been good. But he falls behind there in that slalom section. Both trucks solid downsides. Superman getting up onto starting elevation cleaner, though. Doesn't matter. Just Get Her Done holding that lead right now. Tantalizingly close for Superman. Just not close enough to grab a lead at this point. We'll see how the bottom floor goes, as it's going to be Just Get Her Done heading into the tunnel first. Superman going to come up short on the transfer, which is going to hurt him in this pass. And so is struggling through the tunnel. Just Get Her Done all by himself in the gap. He's going to go long to low. Superman trying to clear it, which we know he can do, and he gets it done perfectly in this round. And this is when you need to execute that perfectly. He does it, but it's not going to pay off the way we need it to. Just Get Her Done all by himself heading into this final turn. Superman with a big mistake goes down. Just Get Her Done. Over the triple he goes, and on to the finals tonight. It is the V4 Hypershock Custom taking on the Werewolf NodeBeam Just Get Her Done replica. Who is going to come out on top? We've seen Werewolves, but specifically Just Get Her Done on fire all night long. But we've also seen Hypershock killing it in the upper half of the bracket. Who is going to come out on top in our final round? Hypershock coming out on your right. Just Get Her Done on your left. Both trucks lined up and staged with that starting line. We're going green for your final race of bracket 2. And when this one's over, stick around. We still got one more bracket for tonight. This is our finale of the qualifying window. Our final qualifier gets announced tonight. So stick around. You want to see that. Heading around our first turn. Just Get Her Done. Nice and tight, but Hypershock managing to come back from his big slide. He's right there pretty close with Just Get Her Done. And I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. This is a race. I'll tell you that much. Hypershock with a big slide on the exit. Without that, he would be in the lead right now. But it is pretty neck and neck. Just Get Her Done falls behind. Trying to get up onto starting elevation. He comes up short. Down on or up onto the bridge. It is all Hypershock in the lead right now. Into the tunnel. Big leap from Hypershock. But he's in trouble. Bounces off the wall. Trying to get that truck spun around. It is all Just Get Her Done onto the bottom floor. But Hypershock comes out fast. They are neck and neck over the final roller and looking for the gap. Ooh, Hypershock with a big butt kicker. Just Get Her Done is out wide and he falls off the elevated turn. Hypershock is all by himself heading to the final turn. Around it we go, and Hypershock is into the Season 2 main field lineup for the All-Star Challenge Tour. If you want to vote for what team he gets placed on, Team Thunder versus Team Mayhem, head over to the RORSRPS Instagram this Saturday. You guys need to think about it. Yesterday's episode and today's episode, we got 5 trucks total getting qualified into Season 2, and there's only 5 spots left on the All-Star Challenge Tour and only 1 spot left on Team Mayhem. So that is the most important vote of this of the week, is that last spot on Team Mayhem. And only one of them from our 5 qualifiers this week are going to be able to grab that spot, and it's all in your hands. It needs to be the perfect competitor to complete that team. It is a team battle. The winning team goes to the World Finals. The losing team is locked out of the World Finals. Nobody from Team Thunder or Team Mayhem, whatever the losing team is, will be moving on to the World Finals. So you need to make a solid decision in that for teammates here. Hypershock, one last look at him as we head into our final bracket of the night. This is all picked by me. Some trucks that I would really love to see in Season 2. El Toro Loco taking on Junkyard Dog. Earthshaker versus Blockhead. Megalodon versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Monster Mutt taking on Medusa. VP Mad Scientist versus My Own Custom Gearhead. Batman is going to take on Gravedigger the Legend. Lucas Stabilizer is going to face off against Terminal Velocity. And Tailgater will close it out, taking on Shell Camino. Who is going to come out on top and become our final qualifier for Season 2. El Toro Loco pulling up to your right, and Junkyard Dog on your left. Who is going to come out on top? We just saw Junkyard Dog last episode. He was killing it. Can he do it again? Launching off of that starting line and up and over that step up. Both trucks hitting the ground at the same time. It's El Toro Loco with a very slight lead. Both trucks getting solid downsides. Junkyard Dog getting right there neck and neck with El Toro Loco right now. Around that first turn we go. Very interesting race so far. It's pretty evenly matched. Junkyard Dog looks to have a little bit of a lead here. But heading into this double roller section, El Toro Loco comes back. It is neck and neck. Wow, this is such a tight race to get us started in our final bracket. Junkyard Dog goes right into the dumpster. has to back that truck up and get it turned around for that turn. El Toro Loco bouncing all over the place through the bridge, but struggling. Oh no! Junkyard Dog in trouble, no save! Junkyard Dog in trouble, no save. Down he goes off of the bridge. El Toro Loco all by himself, having his own problems. Luckily, this is essentially a practice lap for him. He's going to need to tighten up his issues before the next round. And to the next round he goes, as long as he can get into or across that finish line. Through that final turn, El Toro Loco manages to stick it out just long enough for his opponent to make a mistake here in round one. El Toro Loco is on to season two. Or not on to season two, on to round two. There we go. Oops. Not what I meant to say. El Toro Loco. We'll see him again in just a little bit. But on to our next race here in our final bracket. Looking for our final qualifier. Earthshaker is going to be taking on Blockhead. Who's going to come out on top here? Could be a potentially close race. Both of these trucks were in our last bracket just a second ago. So I believe they both got up into the second round as well. So who's going to come out on top is the question here. Blockhead seems to have a lead right now, but it's Earthshaker with a better downside on the Jackrabbit. He grabs the lead over the gap here and into the first turn. Around and around we go. Earthshaker, the first one into the slalom, but is he going to be able to fight off Blockhead for this entire race? Big slide from Blockhead there, letting Earthshaker hold on to his lead. Nice downside. Blockhead coming up a little short on the double rollers. Earthshaker putting down a solid pass this time. He said, not again. I'm getting into the finals in this bracket, and I am getting my season 2 qualification. Looking for a transfer into the tunnel. Solid, but kind of an awkward bounce. Almost gets him into some trouble. Blockhead gets a solid landing. Coming down to the bottom floor. Blockhead determined to catch up to Earthshaker. And as we head up into this elevated turn, Earthshaker is going to get a big hit. Trying to get that truck saved. Having some issues. It's close coming out of the chicane. Both trucks having their own problems. Blockhead still with a very slight lead. And through the final turn, it is close, but not close enough. Blockhead, clear leader at this point, over the finish line and on to round 2. Blockhead, we'll be seeing him again in just a minute. Earthshaker unable to get it done here in round 1, unfortunately. And the thing about this one, for me at least, every loss is unfortunate because, of course, I want to see every one of these trucks in Season 2. But they're here because they haven't qualified yet. So this is their last shot to get into that Season 2 main field. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on your left. They'll be taking on Megalodon, and we're going green. Over that step up we go. Similar approaches to it. Megalodon a little worse off. Kind of a sloppy landing there. And overshoots that Jackrabbit as well, but gets right there neck and neck with Turtles. And this is going to be a close race if it's going to continue like this. Big slide around that first turn. Neck and neck heading into the slalom. Megalodon with a nice clean entry into that first turn. Turtles managing to come back. It's going to be Turtles who leads over the double rollers. Nice clean downsides from both trucks. This is a solid race. Solid matchup to get us started here. Down onto the ski hill we go. Can Megalodon come back? Trying. He's putting in a good effort over the bridge. Nice and clean through it. Who's going to get a better transfer into the tunnel? Turtle's going to come up short. Meg as well. But Meg is not as bouncy as Turtles was. Does manage to make up a little bit of ground. Turtles almost getting in trouble there. Meg is going to come up short on that gap just because of how that rebounding was happening coming off of that final roller. And yeah, looks like it's all Turtles at this point unless there's a mistake in this final turn. Can Turtles hold on? Around it we go. It's close. It is so close right now. Turtles versus Meg. Meg making a solid effort to get back in the lead, but it doesn't happen. Turtles is on to round 2 in our final bracket of the qualifying window. Can Turtles get it done for Season 2, or will he be locked out of that main field? We gotta watch and see. We'll see him again in just a minute. Here's another truck that I would love to see in Season 2, Monster Mutt. That Kohler chassis, of course, the CRC version of Monster Mutt. On your right, he was a Season 1 sub. He wants a Season 2 main field spot. And here is a Season 1 main field competitor, Medusa, on your left, taking that Throwback Tour Championship. We'll see if she can get up into Season 2 as well. Got to give her another shot because she hasn't had too many, not with the version that was the Tour Champion last season. So we'll see how she does here as we head into the slalom. It is Monster Mutt with the lead at this point. Can he hold on to it is the question. Medusa looking good through the slalom. I cannot lie. It is pretty close, but Medusa is going to head into that double roller section first. Oh, look at that. Mutt almost getting in trouble, as the Mutts tend to do, getting up onto starting elevation. Down the ski hill we go. Medusa in the lead, holding it, but she's getting in trouble with that center divide. Monster Mutt almost getting into it as well, but keeping it clean. Somehow Medusa still leads as we head into the tunnel. Monster Mutt with a beautiful transfer. Does kind of clip the wall, but they are neck and neck heading into the dip here on the bottom floor. Who's going to get a better landing in the elevated turn? Wow. Pretty close landings there. If I had to pick, I would say Medusa had a better landing. But that was relatively evenly matched here. And as we head into the final turn, Medusa is holding the lead right now. Mutt trying to put the power down, but it's not going to happen. Medusa knocks out Monster Mutt here in round 1. She is one step closer to tasting that main field glory once again, but this time for Season 2. Can she get up into that main field and become another Tour champion? Just gotta wait and see. Gearhead coming out next on your left, taking on VP Mad Scientist. Now, as I mentioned, this is my personal custom. I just recently got it back into Rigs of Rods for 0.4, so I'm excited, and of course I got to give him a shot at Season 2. VP Mad Scientist facing off against that Gearhead truck, and of course VP is in the lead. Oh, a big overshoot from Gearhead. Gonna come up short on that gap here on the first floor. Not looking good for my Gearhead already. VP Mad Scientist looking good into the slalom. A big slide for Gearhead. Needs to get this truck under control and really focus and throw some strategy in, man. If you want to make up some ground at this point, you are struggling on this track right now. VP Mad Scientist looking clean. Nice clean downside. Same for Gearhead though. Nice. Making the effort to come back. You're listening. VP Mad Scientist, the first one up onto the bridge. Looks like he's going to be able to hold this for the entire race, but we got half a race to go, and with Gearhead throwing the race away every chance he gets, I don't think it's going to matter. I think VP Mad Scientist is on to round 2. Gearhead does get a beautiful transfer into the tunnel, though, but I think he's just too far back for that to matter at this point. Mad Scientist already looking for the gap. Gearhead getting into it. Both trucks. Oh no, Gearhead getting a perfect landing on the elevated turn. Mad Scientist going long to low. That gives Gearhead a chance to make up some ground. And coming out of the chicane, it is Gearhead, but VP comes back from behind and into the final turn. It is close. It is a close race. Decent effort from Gearhead, but it's not going to happen. VP Mad Scientist over the finish line we go, and on to round 2. One step closer to Season 2 main field. Gearhead, unfortunately, does not get it done this time around. Maybe for Season 3. We'll see what happens. Down he goes in round 1. Batman coming out next on your right, taking on Gravedigger the Legend. Now, between these two, for Gravedigger the Legend specifically, we haven't seen this exact version on this track yet in this qualifying window. Batman, though, we have seen, and he's put in some solid effort. I believe he's made it up into the finals once before as well. So this could be his final, I mean, it is his final shot, but this could be the time that he manages to make it up into the Season 2 main field. Both trucks coming up short on the gap here as we head into the first turn. Who is going to come out on top? Gravedigger the Legend. The name has been here quite a few times, has gotten quite a few shots, has been unable to get into that Season 2 main field. He's looking for it tonight. And Batman as well, though. I mean, same could be said for him. He's been here a few times, looking for that Season 2 main field qualifier spot. And as of right now, he's holding the lead on Gravedigger the Legend. Can Gravedigger the Legend come back? Through the bridge section, it is Batman who is smoother and looking for a transfer into the tunnel already. Not too bad of a landing. Gravedigger the Legend, solid. Little bouncy, but solid. Taking on the gap. Batman is the first one there. Can he get a nice clean landing? He's going to take a little bit of a big hit on the nose, but Gravedigger the Legend gets a big hit on the rear end, which, you know, butt kicker, trying to slow it down. You got to be careful. You can't just slam on the brakes because you're going to flip over the nose. So you got to take a little extra time to let that truck settle, and that knocks him out of the race completely. He was already behind, but down goes Gravedigger the Legend. Here in round 1, Batman is on to round 2, one step closer to that Season 2 main field and grabbing that last spot in the All-Star Challenge Tour. Let's head back up to starting elevation and continue with our round 1 bracket here. Lucas Stabilizer on your right, taking on Terminal Velocity. Now here's the thing, we've seen Terminal Velocity quite a few times. He's only been able to make it out of round 1 once. Lucas Stabilizer, we've seen quite a few times, but we've only seen the Werewolf NodeBeam version. I think we might have seen the V4 once, and they didn't do too well. So here, we got the V4 back. We'll see how they can do this time. Terminal Velocity, though, has a shot, I would say. I mean, he always has a shot in round 1. He's only been able to make it out of it once, though. Coming around that first turn, Lucas Stabilizer manages to grab a lead. Terminal Velocity sloppy in this race already. Really needs to get these gremlins under control if he wants to see Season 2. Tight around that pit of disqualification. Terminal Velocity struggling, trying his best to get back up near Lucas Stabilizer, but it's going to take a mistake from that Stabilizer truck for Terminal Velocity to come back. Lucas Stabilizer making quick work of this track this time around. Of course, we had Stabilizer as a Season 1 substitute, so the move from substitute to main field competitor is heavy on the Stabilizer's mind tonight. Getting it done is a whole nother beast, though. Over the gap we go. It's Stabilizer is going long to low. Terminal Velocity gonna get in trouble. Managing to get a save, which is pretty awesome, but this is not freestyle. That hurts big time, especially when you're already behind and heading into this final turn. It is all Lucas Stabilizer heading in to round 2. Nicely done. A solid pass from Stabilizer, getting it done. Just sticking with it and running your own race. Works once again, but this time in the leader, with the leader for the entire race. Lucas Stabilizer. See her again in just a minute, but I believe this next race is our final race of round 1. Yes, it is. Tailgater on your right, gonna take on Shell Camino on your left. Very curious to see how this race is gonna go. Shell Camino, another truck that's made it up into the final round before. I think Tailgater, the farthest they've made it, is all the way up into the semifinals. So we'll see who can come out on top here in round 1 this time around. Over the Jackrabbit we go. It's Tailgater who kind of overshoots it just a little bit, but it pays off with a lead at this point. Heading into this first turn, Tailgater looking good. Shell Camino taking a much more controlled approach than I would expect for a final shot type of race. You know what I mean? We've seen Shell Camino on this track before, as I said, made it up into the final round, and they were throwing it down. So I don't know what's going on inside their head this time around. Tailgater just holding that lead right now on Shell Camino, and it's looking good for Tailgater this race. But we still got half a race to go, and anything can happen on this track. We've seen so much happen just in this episode alone with the 3 bracket show, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. This Tailgater nearly gets into some trouble there, almost over rotates, you know. Almost nose picks it down and flips up over the roof of the tunnel like we saw somebody do in the past. I forget exactly who it was. Shell Camino fighting for their spot, but not fighting hard enough, it seems. Tailgater, the first one coming through that elevated turn and coming out of the chicane. Shell Camino's making up some ground, but I don't think it's going to be enough as we head into this final turn. Yeah, around it we go. Tailgater kind of sloppy, but I don't think it's going to matter. No, Tailgater up and over that finish line we go. Shell Camino down here in round 1 and closing out round 1. Tailgater is on to the next one tonight. Speaking of the next one, let's take a look at our next round and see how it's shaping up. El Toro Loco is going to take on Blockhead to get us started. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles will face off against Medusa. VP Mad Scientist is going to take on Batman. And Lucas Stabilizer is going to take on Tailgater to close out round 2. Very, very interesting races. I'm curious to see who's going to come out between El Toro Loco and Blockhead, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus Medusa. Medusa was an incredible racer all season long in Season 1. So we'll see how she does here against Turtles, who's, you know, looking for his first spot in the main field of an actual season. El Toro Loco taking on Blockhead to get us started. We're going green, and over the step up we go. El Toro Loco airing that thing out, and a very slight lead, but gets crooked over the Jackrabbit. Both trucks struggling here as we head over the gap. Blockhead going for a hard hit. Oh my goodness. Yeah, they're probably going to shut him down as well. I mean, he's definitely shut down, but I don't know if they're going to let him refire. El Toro Loco, yeah, all by himself once again. He's looking for a spot in Season 2. Can he get it done? He needs to get into the semifinals first, and to do that, he's going to have to get across the finish line. We'll see if he can even do that, or if we're going to have to rerun our first race of the qualifying window here in our final episode. Nicely done, getting into a little bit of trouble on the bridge. He's going to have to tame that heading into the semifinals. You never know who you're going to get put up against, especially with this bracket. I mean, it could be either Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Medusa, and either one of those is going to be a problem for El Toro Loco if he's not careful. Heading into the gap here on the bottom floor, taking another practice hit at it. Solid landing, getting it done, keeping it on all 4 BKTs and keeping relatively solid momentum. And coming out of the chicane, Monster Mutt, El Toro Loco looks like he's going to do it here in round 2, around that final turn. Beautifully done. A little out wide on the exit, but solid. And over the finish line we go. El Toro Loco is on to the semifinals. He has another shot, one step closer to a Season 2 qualification, and we will finally get our El Toro Loco in Season 2. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is going to come out next on your right, taking on Medusa. Now, this is one of the races that I was very interested to see when looking at the bracket. Just got to watch and see what happens as we go green. Continuing on with our round 2 bracket, El Toro Loco just did solid in that red lane. Can Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles do well enough to knock out Medusa? Not on the landing of the Jackrabbit, at least. Medusa grabs an early lead here in the first floor. Turtles is struggling right now. Into the slalom, a big slide from Medusa, a bigger slide from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to make up some ground, but Medusa's slipping and sliding a lot through the slalom. Oh, getting hung up on the pit of disqualification too. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has a shot if he can put down a solid pass from this point on. Both trucks getting relatively decent downsides on the double roller section. Turtles out wide on the exit. Medusa is creeping up on that turtle truck right now. Down back onto the first floor, looking for a transfer into the tunnel. Solid from Turtles. Medusa undershoots it a little bit. Comes up short, gets a little bit of a bounce, having to stop to let that truck get settled. Turtles has a big lead on Medusa right now. Can he hold it around this elevated turn? He's going for the gap. Gets it done. Medusa as well. This is a pretty close race for Turtles right now. Medusa, ooh, a big slide from Medusa. That slows her down a lot. It looks like it's going to be all Turtles unless there's a mistake in this turn. No mistakes. Turtles around the turn and over the triple, one step closer to Season 2. What a competitor for El Toro Loco as we head into the semifinals. El Toro Loco is going to be taking on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, which means Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is, so close. He's tantalizingly close to that final round, which will be his decision maker for a Season 2's placement. You just got to see what's going to happen here. VP Mad Scientist coming out next on your right, taking on Batman. Who will come out on top as we launch off that starting line and over the step up. Beautiful landings from both trucks. Pretty neck and neck, but it is VP with a very slight landing. Two very identical approaches to the Jackrabbit, but it's Batman who comes off of it first. Looking for the slalom though. Very close race. Batman with a big slide though. VP Mad Scientist grabs a lead here through the slalom. Can he hold it until the tunnel? If he holds it into the tunnel, we might have Scientist in the semifinals. Up onto the bridge. Batman is starting to come back. It is a close race. Batman is right in that sweet spot as we head onto the bridge. Mad Scientist gets a bigger kick than Batman. Batman grabs the lead heading into the tunnel. Is Batman going to take this race? VP all over the place in the tunnel. It's looking like it's going to be Batman this time around, but there's still a lot of race to go and some pretty important parts of this race. Batman's going to go long to low in the gap. VP Mad Scientist getting a big hit on the nose, which sets him up on the rear end. Manages to recover, and it's going to be close as we head into this final couple straightaways. Mad Scientist with a slide coming out of the chicane. I take it back. May not be that close. Batman nice and tight and clean around that final turn, and VP Mad Scientist is not going to get it done tonight. Batman is on to the semifinals. One step closer to the Season 2 main field. Can he get it done tonight is the question on everybody's mind, because Batman was one of our first few trucks requested. I just didn't have him at the time, and once I got him, I threw him into rotation, and it was a few episodes in, but he's been requested for a long time, and he's close. He's close. Lucas Stabilizer coming out next on your right, taking on Tailgater, and curious to see how this race is going to go. I'm just going to watch and see what happens at this point, because interesting. That's why. Wow, what a leap from Lucas Stabilizer. Hard hit for Tailgater, and down he goes. He is not going to be able to refire after a hit like that. I don't think so, at least. Stabilizer all by herself, and the screen is collapsing. So, yes, Lucas Stabilizer is on to the semifinals. She'll be taking on Batman, which kind of worries me for that Stabilizer truck. But anything can happen on this track. Tailgater, who is a solid truck, made it up into the semifinals the first time we saw him, just took a massive spill off of the step up of all things. So that just goes to show you right there, anything can happen. Both of these trucks absolutely launched it over that step up. Just happened to be Stabilizer who managed to keep it in one piece. Heading down onto the first floor once again. Can Stabilizer get a nice clean transfer into the tunnel? She's going for it. Oh, gets into the wall though. Not a good sign as we head into our semifinals for Stabilizer. She really needs to tighten that up. If she wants to see the final round, that cannot happen in the semifinals. Solid leap through the gap and up onto that elevated turn for Stabilizer. She's looking good tonight. She's putting down some solid passes overall. I mean, we've only seen 2 so far, but round 1 was incredible. Round 2 was great, except for the tunnel. Had a solid transfer, just got into the wall, which obviously stopped her. Over the finish line she goes, and she is on to the semifinals, grabbing that final spot in the semifinals. Let's take a look at our semifinal bracket and see how things are shaping out. It all sinks in and becomes real once you get a look at this bracket. El Toro Loco is going to take on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Batman will face off against Lucas Stabilizer. I said it a million times tonight, but interesting. Very, very interesting. This is for the final spot in the Season 2 main field. So with this lineup, I'm happy with whoever gets in. I mean, obviously with this entire lineup, because I picked every truck, but I'm happy with whoever. I'm still hoping we get an El Toro Loco. That'd be awesome. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles would be an awesome truck in Season 2 as well. We just got to see what happens with this race as we go green to kick off the semifinals. El Toro Loco versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Turtles with a slight lead, but he overshoots that Jackrabbit just a little bit. El Toro Loco reclaims the lead. Comes up short for Turtles, and he bounces off the dumpster. Quick thinking to throw it into reverse, but that hurts already, and he's already off to a bad start in the semifinals. El Toro Loco, the first one through the slalom as Turtles struggles with the pits of disqualification over there. Relatively nice downside from El Toro Loco. Solid from Turtles. He's making an effort to come back. Love to see it. El Toro is the first one up onto the bridge, but we got a long race to go. Say it with me. Anything can happen. Down onto the first floor, looking for the transfer. El Toro Loco going for it. Turtles as well. Both of them getting beautiful transfers. Turtles is pretty close. If there's a big mistake from El Toro Loco, Turtles could come back. He overshoots the... Oh, no. That might be it. That might be the nail in the coffin. He overshoots that final roller in the lightning lane before the gap. And yeah, not really where you want to do that. Not in the semifinals, at least. Maybe in the first round if you're in the lead a good bit and whatever. But in the semifinals, when you're fighting for time, you don't really want to overshoot that final roller. El Toro Loco, nice and clean, a great pass. And on to the finals. We are one step closer to El Toro Loco finally getting qualified into Season 2. Will I get my wish, or will it be any one of my wishes from this final round here, or semifinal round? Batman is going to be taking on Lucas Stabilizer. We are looking for our final truck in the final round with this race, which will lead to our final truck into Season 2. Stabilizer launching over that step up once again. She is behind right now. Batman is off to an early lead as we head into our first gap. Batman coming up short. Stabilizer, beautiful downside on that gap. Out a little wide in that first turn, though, narrowly avoiding those dumpsters. Big slide from Batman once again. Lucas Stabilizer not too much better herself, though. Coming out of the slalom, that is Batman once again. in the lead, but Stabilizer with a better downside on that double roller section. Stabilizer is in that sweet spot. It is close, but Batman does not want to let up. As I mentioned, we've seen Batman in the final round before. He wants to get there again, and he is so close. At this point, he is just about a half a race away from that final round spot. Can he hold on to this lead? Stabilizer in the sweet spot. We're going for the gap. This is going to be the decision maker right here. I'm calling it right now. Batman. Both of them getting beautiful landings. Stabilizer, I would say, a little cleaner. Having to use a little less brake than Batman. She comes out in the lead and looking for the final turn. Can she hold on to it? Around we go. She does. She is the first one over the triple. Lucas Stabilizer, determined to make that jump from Season 1 sub to Season 2 main field competitor. Can she do it? She is on to the final round by knocking out Batman here in the semifinals. Let's take a look at our final round bracket and see how we got here. El Toro Loco has been on fire all night. 2 very lucky races with her opponents knocking themselves out. Lucas Stabilizer, on the other hand, has been going hard all night with only one of her opponents making big enough of a mistake to knock themselves out of the competition, like completely. Getting shut off, you're done. But I mean, overall, they both made it here. They both made it through 3 rounds before this. So it's... You hear that? The horn honking. Stabilizer ready to go. El Toro ready to go. And we are launching off that starting line to find our final qualifier for Season 2. El Toro, the first one over the Jackrabbit, but it is Stabilizer who gets a cleaner downside. Stabilizer's off to a lead as we head into our first turn. Through the slalom we go. Stabilizer nice and clean. El Toro with a slide. That's only letting Stabilizer get farther ahead at this point. El Toro really needs to be perfect in this round. Stabilizer overshoots it. El Toro undershoots it just a little bit in that double roller section. I don't know, man. El Toro Loco falling behind. Or staying behind, I should say. Stabilizer looking good on the bridge. A big leap. And that kind of slowed her down a little bit. But El Toro Loco's having his own issues over here on your right. Stabilizer getting close to the wall. Not as clean of a downside to transfer into the tunnel as last round. Same for El Toro, though. Oh, Stabilizer almost getting in trouble there. Overshoots that roller. El Toro may be able to come back if he can get a nice clean landing on the elevated turn. He does, but he is still slightly behind Stabilizer at this point. It is neck and neck heading into the final turn. Who is going to get it? Stabilizer has a very slight lead right now. Through the final turn we go. What a race to the finish line for our final qualifier of Season 2. And it's going to be Lucas Stabilizer heading into the Season 2 main field. Nicely done. What a race. What a night of racing as a whole. And what a night of racing from our final qualifier. Lucas Stabilizer managing to get that final spot in the All-Star Challenge Tour. Head over to the RORSRPS Instagram to place your votes for what tour she get or what team she gets placed on, Team Thunder or Team Mayhem. There is only 1 spot left on Team Mayhem. So that is the most important decision. Think hard on all 5 of our qualifiers from yesterday and today. Who is going to grab that last spot on Team Mayhem? Take a look at that Team Mayhem lineup. Find a good teammate for Team Mayhem. That is the most important thing. Team Thunder is going to get a bunch of trucks right now. They're going to get 4 no matter what. There's 1 spot left on Team Mayhem. They need a good teammate. Thank you guys so much if you stuck with me through the entire qualifying window. It's been a lot. It's been long episodes, but coming March, Season 2. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to check out Dubby. Check out the RORSRPS Instagram. Subscribe if you enjoyed. I'll see you soon with Season 2.